What's a place that seems fine during the day but gets really creepy at night? Hallways. Theme park. A playground. Forests. Depends on the forest though. I've had to stay behind at my school a few times, usually being one of maybe a dozen or so others by the time I leave. My foster carers always pick me up in a weird area that leaves me walking through different hallways than everyone else, and it never fails to scare me. Walking through hallways that are only illuminated by fire exit signs and should have crowds of year 7s screaming but are dead silent. A shopping mall. I used to work third shift security at a pretty understaffed one, so I was regularly the only person in the building from around 2 am 7 am after the janitors left. Besides the occasional teenager wearing a clown mask and staring at me through a window, I thought I saw mannequins moving, heard small children laughing, heard banging coming from the ceiling, etc. Parks probably. Hospitals. It's normal by day but after visiting hours shit gets creepy. Abandoned buildings, churches. The mind. Dirt roads. I grew up on one and would walk it to get to the main road to catch the bus for school. I'd have to walk it at night to babysit my neighbor's kids and the difference was crazy. During the day it's bright. There are flowers and the worst you'll see is a snake or a deer. At night the roar of the frogs is deafening. The trees seem to encroach on the road and you catch glowing eyes in the woods around you. The woods. Playgrounds. There's a playground near me that's actually built on the foundations of a tuberculosis sanatorium. My son loves it during the day, but at dusk we skedaddle. I work midnights at my local hospital and end up in the OR rooms a lot. I help prep for the next day's surgeries. Totally creepy. Anywhere in Milwaukee. I work late nights and the city is 1000% creepy at night. 500,000 people spread over almost 100 miles. And you're lucky to see a single sober person. If you're unlucky, you run into a Milwaukee crackhead and boy there's something else. The SCP facility. Am I the only one hoping someone would say the Krusty Krab? My basement. I was watching a video of an urban tour of Pripyat, the city built to support the Chernobyl plant. At day, it was fascinating walking through now empty high-rises. At night though, very different story. The hotels there for tourists having locked gates that close at nightfall. I would not want to be on the outside when they lock. Still on my bucket list though. Old church. The sun during the day it's all happy and life-giving and normal. But at night, you're like why is the sun here? Oh god what's going on? Double quote. Malls. I worked at a shop in a pretty busy mall in California and was there overnight doing stock inventory. I had to leave the shop to throw some trash away and walking the mall in almost complete silence was terrifying. Any place with tremendous amounts of energy during the day and nearly none at night are creepy. My school is in an area where hookers, you know. A 9-5 office. Everywhere. Minecraft. Museums. This will probably get buried, but rest stops. One of the eeriest places I've ever been is a small rest stop way out in the middle of nowhere in far southeastern Oregon. It was about midnight, and in the middle of nowhere. Just flat desert, just sand and some low brush. If you've ever been out by Plush, Oregon, you know what I mean. We were driving down this highway, the only main road for miles, and everything was pitch black. You couldn't see anything out the windows, just pitch black. All we could see was the patch of road in front of us illuminated by the headlights, and the occasional suicidal jackrabbit. Finally, we came to a small crossroads with a little building and a parking lot next to it. Nothing else, just one building. We parked and got out, and everything was dead silent. No birds, no animals, no wind, nothing. The surroundings were, again, pitch black and yet at the same time the sky was clear enough to see thousands of stars. Everything felt so dead and abandoned. Just you and a broken down rest stop alone in the middle of a pitch black, dead silent desert. It was pretty creepy, but kind of beautiful at the same time. A recently divorced uncle's house with an unkempt lawn and a 1992 satin sedan that's missing half of the rear bumper parked in front. A room with lots of big windows and no blinds, only small translucent curtains. Any place that is pretty empty at night. If something happens, no one's around to save you. Might be low hanging fruit here, but theaters, acting theaters, not movie theaters. For a while I was helping closing up our big local old theater. There's just no way to not assume that place is absolutely haunted. Cement basement hallways. Even if it wasn't dark outside yet, I just knew there were ghosts all around me. Pretty sure no one was ever murdered there, but somehow that place is definitely haunted. Literally anywhere that isn't lit up. Cliché, but a cemetery. Going to mourn your loved ones during the day. Going to desecrate a grave at night. Abandoned prisons. A toy store. Rows upon rows of stuffed animals, dolls and action figures, all staring at you in the dark with their dead eyes, right up until the doll you're looking at turns her head and winks at you. Open fields. Staring into that dark abyss. Reddit. Has to be a park. I feel so scared for women walking alone in parks at night. The woods. An unlit swimming pool. My apartment. After the lights go out the roaches get to have their fun. Turns out getting used to falling asleep to the sounds of constant skittering and the weird noises they make when they rub against shit is tough. A school. I find the opposite effect in nightclubs. At night they are exciting, loud, music blaring, lights flashing, packed with happy people. But during the day, when the lights are on, the walls are beat up black painted plywood. The floors are just black concrete with sticky drink stains everywhere, exposed lights, etc. They look really sketchy, and they do not make you want to come back at night. Sketchy hotels. The hallway that led to my parents' room when I was a kid. Churches. I used to work at this really old church in my city and I hated locking up after weddings because I just got this really uneasy feeling when I was in there by myself at night. Antique shops and second-hand stores. I was the only kid who would work for extra money at my aunt's antique shop after hours, dusting and straightening up and refurbishing the items that came in. It didn't help it was an old building from the 1800s too. Thumps, whispering, and shadows were normal. Whenever she got in new stock, new things started happening. I was weird and loved it. All my cousins were chickens. A cornfield, for sure. Children's hospital. We spent a few months in NICU. Now if you aren't used to NICU life the whole thing is terrifying. But during the day there are bright lights and colorful artwork on the walls, cheerful welcoming smiles from nurses and other staff. One spot particularly is supposed to be very welcoming. In our NICU there was a wash area you were supposed to sign and then go wash your hands for 2 minutes while a song sung by children played. Scrub-a-dub wash your hands blah blah blah. One night I was having a rough time and left to take a drive in my car for like 45 minutes. When I got back to the floor all the hallway lights were off except some backlighting spots. I couldn't sign in as there was no one at the desk. But to avoid risking my baby or anyone else's baby getting sick I still took my 2-minute wash. The children's song was incredibly creepy in the dark. It echoed down THR hall and was just really eerie. Shadows everywhere. I felt like there were people watching me but no one was in the entry hallway. I finished and went right into our private room where my baby was soundly sleeping. I hardly ever left at night again after that. An attic. One bare, cobweb covered light bulb and plenty of shadows. My mind. Since I've only ever seen depictions of heaven at daytime, I'm guessing nighttime in heaven would be terrifying. Big flapping angels flying into each other, general mayhem would ensue. I live right next to a disused airfield. It's a square kilometer of completely clear, flat land and is really unnerving. There's also the control tower in the center that gets extremely spooky at night. The only way in is to scale the wall and then lower yourself in from the roof through an upstairs window. I should also say that I live in the north of Scotland, where flat land is pretty uncommon at it. A lot of people have asked for pictures and I will try my best to get some. However, there is a very aggressive flock of birds nesting on the control tower, so I DK how close I can get. Chuck E. Cheese. Our barn. I can go in there during the day without lights and it's fine, it's pitch black. But at night? Nope. Any kind of dock by the water. Beautiful during the day. Nightmare at night. Used to do security work for a company that has stores in malls. Being in a mall late at night by yourself is super creepy. The only noise you hear down the way is the kiddie area rides laughing. Nursing home. I didn't believe in ghosts until I worked at one. Any room my cat is in. My bedroom. Every time I do something I have to make sure a large black clawed hand is not under my bed or reaching for me from my closet. The reasoning for my paranoia is that recently I've been having these dreams of a tall black demon with a white mask dripping this black substance from its eyes. I would say it is about 10 feet tall. Its body is skinny but its neck gets wider and the mask is completely flat. I keep seeing it out of the corner of my eye. It reminds me of this drawing that I made at a friend's house, but that one was less creepy and I described it as friendly. The whole way to the bathroom. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.